Welcome to EnglisIn, the English learning channel that is dedicated to taking you beyond the classroom and immersing you in the vivid tapestry of real English usage. At EnglisIn, we firmly believe that learning English with fun and natural is the key to building confidence and acquiring language skills faster. And in today's episode, I'm joined here in the virtual studio with the one, the only Fatma. How is it going?
Nice to see you again. Okay. Alright, so today we are going to talk about how to build up our vocabulary mastery.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So
Alright.
we're going to talk about this English vocabulary. Anyway, vocabulary, when we talk about vocabulary, it's one of the language component, right? That builds the language. And that actually what separates you from beginner to intermediate or even to advanced, right?
Yep.
That is your vocabulary retention.
But it doesn't mean that if you have lack of vocabulary, this become your hindrance in learning English. We still need to fight to get more and more vocabulary. Okay, my first question, I guess. So what do you do to improve your vocabulary?
Well, it's kind of straightforward question.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, before answering that, I have in my mind, I try to compartmentalize things. In my mind, I think about vocabulary, it's kind of two different boxes. Think about passive and active vocabulary.
Yeah.
The majority of English learners' problem when dealing with vocabulary is that there's a situation where we are unable to bring those vocabulary that we might have already memorized, for example, to our conversation. It's kind of difficult to pop up in our mind, right? When dealing with a specific context in English. So that is one common problem. So to answer that question, I think we're going to discuss all the details, right?
Right.
About how to build
Vocabulary.
English vocabulary.
Yep.
Yeah.
You mentioned that memorizing vocabulary. Yeah, I used to memorize vocabulary. I used to put new words. I look up new words and wrote it down in what's that? Just call it as like a flashcard. Yeah.
Flashcard, yeah.
I wrote several words and tried to memorize it. Yeah, at the time, I could memorize several words, but I end up failing. Use the vocabulary into sentence and context. So memorizing vocabulary doesn't work for me. What about you?
Yeah, I do agree with that anyway, Fatma, because what's very common is that we try to memorize the vocabulary isolatedly. And this is not a good technique to memorize vocabulary because that vocabulary, if you memorize individually, it doesn't have context, right? Even we practice using flashcard or another mnemonics. So mnemonics is a kind of object that help us remember, right? Or even like spaced repetition software, something like that. Flashcard is just one of them. Because we translate from our native language and that actually,
Dangerous.
hinders you from using the word properly. Instead of memorizing or translating from our native language to English, try to, why not trying to find its original definition in maybe a Merriam-Webster dictionary or even like Oxford Dictionary, because it gives a clear context. Because nothing actually transfers from your native language to English. Not all the words are transferable from our native language.
Exactly. So vice versa, not all English word is transferable into English and vice versa, right? So sometimes it is hard for us to find the equal things in Indonesia in English, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned several tools to improve vocabulary, just like dictionary and so on. Do you have any other tools to improve your vocabulary?
For me, one of the most effective effective tools to we call it mnemonics, right?
Oh, mnemonic. Okay,
Yes,
could you
yeah,
explain it
mnemonics.
more?
Yeah, mnemonics is something that help you remember something, right? And then we have a lot of software actually in
Yeah.
the in Google App or even Apple App Store.
Yep.
Long time ago, it's not now, but long time ago, I used to be using like
Pocket
Anki.
dictionary. Let me guess. Am I right?
Yeah, it's Pocket Dictionary. It's Pocket Dictionary, and also for spaced repetition software, I used Anki.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
Anki that that tracks how your vocabulary retention, how your words that you have studied. That is using the Anki app.
Oh,
But
Enki app, the name is Enki.
for Pocket Dictionary, I think it's quite common. I think you have used that
I think
as well, right?
this was my very first tool when I was student, right? We didn't have any application. We didn't have any like software to learn more vocabulary. At the time, the only tool that we had is on dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary, and the Pocket one. That's the only one that we brought everywhere. As a English department student. Okay, so
Yeah.
you didn't experience that time.
I do experience, but
Okay.
now I have the app. Like I have
Oh,
the
yeah,
Oxford
yeah.
Dictionary app, and also I use two different dictionaries anyway, Oxford dictionaries and
Okay.
Merriam-Webster, which is
Yep.
more American standard, something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe you guys, you can install that the online
App.
dictionary,
Yeah.
that app. But if your phone cannot accommodate that application, I think it's simpler for you, easier for you. Just to type the word in Google and then search the meaning, even it is already completed with the way how to pronounce it, and then it also provides you context so you can use the word. Am I right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In relation to the way how we memorize, the way how we
Vocabulary.
memorize English vocabulary, one aspect that we cannot deny is that giving ourselves with input, it can be listening or reading, because
Yeah.
when we read something,
Again,
right?
input.
For example, if you read a book, for example, and then you find new words or vocabulary, try to jot down, to highlight
Yep.
how that word is used in that context.
Okay.
Anyway, do you have any favorite book or articles or whatever that you think it's really awesome to expand your vocabulary?
To be honest, well, it deals with vocabulary. I learned easy reading book. I don't learn the scientific one. Just easy reading book like non-fiction, or even children's storybook. Yeah, I learn new vocabulary from children's storybook. Sometimes we got a lot of new vocabulary dealing with technical term, right? But we fail to use and understand daily vocabulary that we use every day. So therefore, I prefer reading children book to improve my daily vocabulary. And of course, I still read an article, but the most that I read is non-fiction one. About reading, yeah, I know that reading is provide us input to increase our vocabulary, but the limitation is that when I get new vocabulary from reading, from reading a book, from reading a text, I know I got new vocabulary and I can understand the meaning by searching the meaning in the dictionary, right? But unfortunately, sometimes I cannot pronounce the word. So for me personally, I prefer to because I'm kind of that is provided with a subtitle, not subtitle. Subtitle is the translation, right? Just
Yep.
like you do in your in your video, you provide a text and the text in English. So it's here for me to increase my vocabulary. So I've got the audio input and I also know the written form. So yeah, for me, I prefer that one. What about you?
Yeah, when memorizing, when trying to find the definition of word in English using dictionary, it's actually there is one feature there called phonetic transcription, right? How to sound,
Yep.
how to sound the word correctly in both. We have we have to major like accent like British and American. I think in Oxford it provides
I'm
you a lot with
frustrated.
that.
I'm
What is it?
frustrated with
Phonetic
that kind.
transcription. But not
Phonetic.
everybody can use that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like you, for example, you
Yep.
prefer to what is it, to read the subtitle or the text being
Yep.
spoken.
Yeah.
At the same time, you compare how it's pronounced and also what the text is.
Yeah, phonetic transcription maybe for English department student, but for those who doesn't learn English, what's that
Yes,
informal setting? I guess, it's quite hard to understand that phonetic transcription
transcription. Yeah,
because the
phonetic
symbol is little bit different with our alphabet, right?
exactly.
Okay,
Um,
so
I've been scrutinizing to these like terms, phonetic transcription.
okay,
They are because I'm used to Oxford phonetic transcription,
oh,
but I sound more like American. Um, yeah, some said I sound more like
I
American
sound
rather
like
than British.
Japanese.
No,
Go on.
what is it? The phonetic transcription Fatma, between Merriam-Webster dictionary, which is American, and Oxford is completely different. It's completely different,
Exactly.
totally different, and it's oh my god, it's this is okay. This is really, really what is it? Exhausting for me to double check like the phonetic transcription between Merriam-Webster and then I compare to Oxford. So
Okay.
well,
Okay.
sometimes I ignore it. I don't I don't really focus on that. I just listen,
Okay.
just like you. I listen to how it's pronounced, and then
Yep.
I practice saying that word.
Or sometimes I just type it in the Google and ask
Yeah.
Google how to pronounce the word.
Yeah, that is really good
The
way
easiest
actually.
way for
Yep.
me.
Yeah, because sometimes this is what I do as well. Because now we have voice typing. Now we have that feature right in our smartphone. Whenever I found new word in English, but I don't know how it's actually written, I just try to sound exactly
Oh.
to that sound,
Oh
and then
yeah.
it's kind of voice typing. It helps us a lot.
And then Google will provide you the text.
The text and its
I
definition.
see. I see. All right. Okay. So in it, you mentioned what's that, a phonetic transcription, but I would like to add maybe for English department students, another way to learn new vocabulary is by understanding the root. So it is
Yes.
quite easier for us to understand what's that, or to increase our vocabulary when we understand type of affixes like prefix and suffixes. So because just like what's that? Just give me an example. Like necessary, okay?
Yes,
Necessary is
necessary.
the same as important, right? But when we put "an" in front of the word, it has another meaning. Yeah, I guess understanding the root of the word also can help you to understand and improve your vocabulary.
Yeah, like
Do
the
you have
word
any
jack,
addition?
for example. Yeah, like the
Yeah.
word jacked. We have a lot of prefix with jack, like inject, object, subject, and then I think there are a lot. And this helps you actually understanding the root word, or helps you enrich your vocabulary. So you don't limit yourself only one vocabulary. For example, like the word beauty, you may change that. Yeah, it's not a passive. It's not prefix and suffixes, but you modify the word. For example, beauty is noun. You can change that to adjective. It can be beautiful, or even to verb like beautify.
Yep.
So, or even beautation. Do you ever know beautation?
Yes, yes, I just knew it, but to be honest, I just knew it. Okay. When I heard that one beauty, what's
Yeah,
that?
beauty, beautify, and
Yeah.
then beautiful beautation.
Beautician, yeah. I thought that this must be wrong, right? But when I check it in Google, oh my God, there was yeah, there is beautician in the in English, right?
Yep. Anyway, what does it mean, beautation?
A beautician is someone who enthusiast in beauty. Am I right?
Beauty. Yeah, I think you must know it because almost every week we want to. What is it? What is the proper term for
What's it?
what is it, for beauty, pedicure, manicure, something like that? Yeah. So it's the person, right?
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. I guess the one who was an expert in the beauty.
Expert in
Yeah, I
beauty.
guess. All right.
Oh, okay.
I'm curious. in learning vocabulary and building up your vocabulary, have you ever found yourself frustrated?
Yeah, for sure. For
Sir?
sure. The problem is that when I want it, probably it's my passive vocabulary, right? When I read a book, for example, there almost 90% of the book I might understand the context,
Okay.
the use of that word, but when it comes to using that, I could not bring that up in my conversation. It's a kind of, I don't forget actually, but I
Okay.
deactivate the passive vocabulary, and that is the challenge actually.
Okay.
That is really frustrating.
Yeah. When you try to use the word.
Yep.
Me too, yeah. One another way to improve our vocab or anything, right? Practice, practice, and practice. But for me, in term of vocabulary, I guess I prefer to to put it in written form instead of immersing in my conversation. Why? Because in conversation or in speaking, we cannot make our audience wait for us, right? To recall the word. Therefore, maybe in speaking, I use common word or yeah, the word that I already master. But in writing, I try my best to use the new word that I have learned because I have time to recall what I want to write. And in case I forget to recall the word, I'm going to check it in my note and going to check in dictionary the new word that I have learned. What about you? You always immerse new vocabulary in your speaking, I guess.
Not really. Not really. It
Mhm.
depends. Because sometimes I try to be as natural as possible. I
All
don't
right.
want to force myself using a new word. Because sometimes long time ago when I was practicing new words, I jot down new words and then I practicing using that to my
Yep.
friends to just sound cool. And that doesn't even stick with me.
Okay.
That the word easily wear off. You know, the wear off.
Okay.
Wear off means easy to forget, right?
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind
Fade
of wearing
away.
off all the time. Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't stick. It doesn't stick with me all the time. But what I practice is that when I have a new word, I try to give what is it, a question. I ask myself
Oh.
really clear question that allows you to answer using those new words.
Oh.
It's a kind of prompt. So
Oh,
you
I
ask yourself and then you answer yourself. Or even now
Okay.
you may have like a chat GPT to ask you about a certain topic. For example, you're memorizing vocabulary related to health, for example, and then just ask chat GPT, for example, to practice with you. Give me a prompts of questions about health issues to practice my speaking, and then
All right.
booms,
Okay.
it's there for
It
you, and
comes
then
out.
you can answer that. You can answer the questions provided by ChatGPT using the new vocabulary you have already
Okay.
learned. For example, in this term,
Amazing.
in health
Amazing.
issues, for example. So
All right.
it becomes more natural instead of forcing yourself to use new word while your friend when talking to somebody in conversation, and then they do not understand. They just like dumbfounded. What are you saying? What are you talking about?
I think useless. We use new vocabulary, but our audience fail to understand. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, our communication fail when
Yep.
we speak in sophisticated way, but our audience do not understand us. Fail, of course. All right. And then, have you ever also this one use interesting or not interesting, enjoyable way to learn your vocabulary, to improve your vocabulary, just like games?
I'm not really in that game.
All right.
Maybe so far, listening probably.
Oh, listening.
Yeah, listening is really helpful
Yep.
for me to memorize words, and then I jot down on my note here on my smartphone, and then I track back maybe the day after, and then I try to use that in a certain context.
Yeah, in different context from the.
Yeah, Fatma,
Yep.
recently I memorized the word, which is really, really difficult. The word is, I don't know if it's familiar to you or not. The word is serendipitous.
Serendipity. It's just like something calm. Am I right?
No, serendipitous is like lucky, lucky coincidence. For example, if you're
Okay.
thinking about
Oh.
something, for example, last night you were thinking about apple, and then the next day
Today?
you say an apple, it's a kind of serendipitous moment, and the noun form
Oh.
is serendipity. So this is one example. It takes me a week to really,
Remember?
really naturally using those words, because I often
Oh.
found that word in podcasts.
Okay.
They said like serendipitous. Oh my god, what is that?
Okay.
Yeah, and people in the US use this word very often, and then I try to check in the dictionary, and it takes me a week to completely natural using this word. Oh,
All
what a
right.
serendipitous moment, something
All
like
right.
that.
So guys, you see, so we are just human. Yes, okay, a lecturer need a week to memorize serendipity and put it in what's that appropriate context. So
Yeah.
don't give up when you fail to memorize or to digest new vocabulary. Don't give up. Okay,
Yeah.
it takes a week for one word, and it is
For one
human,
word.
right?
Yeah, yeah, and I've seen this. The majority of the students, they want to memorize 100 words a day.
Yeah,
Wow,
exactly.
that is something unattainable. Really, it's something
Yeah.
unattainable. Try to do
Yeah.
something attainable, which really makes sense for you to memorize. For example, in a week, if you memorize new vocabulary in English and you can use those words in a proper context, I think you
Yeah.
become really amazing. So it's useless to memorize 100 words in a
Yep.
day, but you don't use them, right?
So not the quantity.
It's not the
also
quantity,
the quality.
it's
Yep.
quality.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know exactly. I know how they feel. Maybe just like when we are hungry, we need to eat everything that we see, right? But
Yeah.
our stomach cannot accommodate the food, right? So just like vocabulary, I know that you are highly motivated to learn vocabulary, and you put down anything, you write down anything new vocabulary, and you fail to understand and to use it every day, because
Yes.
this is too much, maybe. All right, maybe 5 enough for you, or maybe to some people only one a day, vocabulary in a day, to what's that, to add new vocabulary. So we need to know our own, or our personal goal, right? So
Yes.
how much vocabulary you can achieve, and yeah, I think we can measure ourselves how much vocabulary that we can learn per a day. Do we
Yes.
need to learn it every day?
Yeah, I do agree with
Seriously.
you, Fatma. Yeah, I do
Every
agree with
day?
you. Every
What do you
day,
think?
yeah, learning by doing, probably.
Oh
Not
yeah,
not kind
not
of learning.
intentionally.
Yes, not intentionally learning,
Mhm.
but
Okay,
you might
yeah.
learn something. So it's like in English, it's killing two birds with one stone. When
Okay.
when you're doing like me, for example, I'm when driving a car, I'm listening, so I'm learning while doing something. That is awesome, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I've heard you said that what is it? Knowing your own goal in learning vocabulary is really important, and I do agree
Important.
with that, because at first, what you have to put in your first list is that why do you really want to expand your vocabulary? There's
Yep.
something you need to answer to yourself. Okay,
Yeah.
if your answer
Yeah.
because, for example, because I'm a student, because I'm a teacher, or even I'm a lecturer, I need to expand my vocabulary in this context. Yeah, that is why you need that reason. You need
Yes.
that reason to be with you there, right? Because if you learn with no with no clear reasons why you're learning, so everything can be easily forgotten.
I
For
see.
example, I'm not interested. For example, I'm not interested in cooking, for example, and then I learn
Yes.
the words
Yep.
about cooking.
About cooking.
What is that for?
Will be useless. I see. I see. So if you are a digital creator, I think you need to focus on that area. You don't need to master all. Yep.
Yep, exactly.
Just master what you want.
Yes. So
Okay.
later it's called a situational fluency. So you become very fluent in, because you have a bunch of vocabulary. You have a wide array of vocabulary in that context, in that specific area of your subject.
Have you
And I
ever
know in
played
this
a
world,
game?
yes,
Have you ever played a game
game. I
dealing
do.
with vocabulary development?
Not no. Do you have?
No. Okay.
Do you?
Sometimes, just like puzzle and Scrabble. Yeah, Scrabble. I used to play Scrabble with my daughters. Yeah, sometimes. But yeah, that's if we only learn puzzle and then Scrabble. Yeah, it's. I think what I got is only the word. I cannot. Sometimes I fail to put the word in context. It will be different when I'm learning the word from context, from reading, from listening,
Yeah.
from listening and watching. Yeah, it will be much easier for me to understand the word in context instead of in what's that, word by word, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, as an alternative, maybe you can try this one. So you can memorize or not memorize. You can try to find new word by playing puzzles or
Yeah.
Scrabbles.
Yeah. But the more challenging is that how the collocation of the word sometimes, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
The collocation is really important sometimes when
Mm-mm.
you memorize
Exactly.
separately the
Mhm.
word. So yeah, as I said before, sometimes maybe did I say this before or not? Like the word hate dog, for example. I saw a hate dog. So when you see um, something a bad dog which is really really bad, and then you say because something really really bad, then you find in the dictionary or even you use Google Translate, probably
Yep.
it says horrendous. I saw a horrendous dog. That is grammatically correct, but the use of the word horrendous in
Horrendous.
this context is
Not
inappropriate. Like,
appropriate. Yes.
so you cannot say I saw a horrendous dog. Maybe the collocation of dog, right? Super bad dog. That's more natural. I saw a super bad dog. I saw a
Okay.
bad dog and I saw a super bad dog. And so instead of saying
Okay.
I saw a
Horrendous.
horrendous dog,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah. I
collocation.
guess agree. And context, yeah, guys. If you find it, if it happens to you when you are learning English and you find it what's that, hard to understand the meaning of, or the meaning of the sentence, or what does the sentence means, I think you can get it from the context, the sentence before and the sentence after. Yeah, because not all the word that we learn has explicit meaning, just like I'm feeling blue, right? So
Yeah.
when we translate it literally, of course we cannot find it, or it meaningless, right?
Yeah.
But when we put it in context, just like I'm feeling blue because I feel blue because I lost my dog. Yeah, you can understand what blue here means, I guess, without opening dictionary. Yes, sometimes
Yeah.
we still need to open dictionary, but sometimes context will help us a lot to digest what the sentence means. Do you agree with me?
Exactly. Exactly. And guys,
Okay.
before we end this session, I have maybe last question for you, Fatma. Do you have any like a funny story or in memorizing what is it words and then you use those words
Yeah.
in English?
Yeah, of course. Maybe just like happen to many people, to many students, just like
Mm-mm.
misuse the word, just like horrendous dog, right? So it is inappropriate, but I felt overconfidence at that time, and I know that the word was not, what's that, not appropriate. Yeah, that's okay,
Yeah.
because I was just learn, and now I'm still learning. Making mistake is okay, is
Yeah. Making mistakes
forgiven.
is normal.
What about you?
Yeah, I
Do you
do.
have silly experience dealing
I
with
do.
what's
It was
that,
crazy. It
building
wasn't just silly,
vocabulary?
but it was crazy.
Oh,
You know,
really?
because I memorized the vocabulary. If you you guys from Indonesia and you guys from Indonesia must know this. You know, Fatma, the word tadpole.
Uh-huh.
Tadpole, it's like a baby frog,
Okay.
which is
Oh,
still tadpole.
tadpole. Okay.
Tadpole, yeah, right. In Bahasa Indonesia, it's called berudu, right? And then,
All right.
and then, because I lived in a boarding school, which is pretty much Islamic stuff, right? And then every time I take ablution, and then we have that I take wudu in English, or take ablution, and then I
Oh.
said I want to take a tadpole. I have already taken a tadpole, so I'm ready to pray.
Okay.
Yeah, so it sounds silly, right, to use
Okay.
that tadpole,
That.
which means berudu
Okay.
in bahasa Indonesia. I think berudu is
Berudu.
berwudu, or what
I
is it, to take
see. Take
ablution. And then,
wudulation. Take wudu.
yes, and then I said to my friend, I have already taken a tadpole. What do you mean taken a tadpole?
Okay.
I have taken ablution. No, tadpole and ablution are two different words.
Fortunately, your friends knew okay, that
Yeah.
the word were inappropriate, right?
Yes.
If suppose that your friends didn't understand what that meant, I think yeah, it's going this silliness going to go on and go on. All
So that is
right.
why we do not recommend that you memorize from your native language. You do direct translation or literal translation for your from your native language to
Yep.
English. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because not all the words are transferable.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep. Exactly. So
It's time to wrap up.
yep. And it's again, what I want to highlight is making mistake. It's okay. Okay. So you experience silly things just like we do. Yeah, that's alive. Okay. The most important one is let's improve. Okay. Let's make a difference between life yesterday and today's life. All right. So
All
that's it
right.
about today.
Okay. Thank you guys. If you guys have any idea for the next topic, what to talk about, just let us know. Drop something in comment. Okay. And then as we wrap up today's episode in English In, we hope you guys enjoyed this journey with us. And before we go, leave us your thoughts and comments below, right? And we'd love to hear from you and may give you a shout out in our next episode. Thank you for joining us. Until next time. Are you ready,
See
Fatma?
you. Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.